The room fell silent for just a moment when the man in the worn gray suit sat down at the wrong table. Crystal glasses sparkled in the afternoon sunlight pouring through the grand ballroom windows. Wealthy investors, executives, and community leaders filled the elegant venue, but one mistaken seat would lead to a moment nobody there would ever forget. What happened next would change two lives forever and remind everyone present that kindness can appear when it is least expected. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of hope, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with friends and family, and subscribe to the channel Heartwarming Tales for more inspiring stories. Kendrick Hale was a devoted black single father who spent most of his days juggling work, parenting, and responsibilities that never seemed to end. At 38 years old, he worked as a maintenance supervisor at a community art center in the small city of Briar Ridge. His life was far from easy. Since losing his wife years earlier, every decision he made revolved around giving his 10-year-old daughter, Nia, a stable and loving home. Money was often tight. There were months when Kendrick skipped buying new clothes for himself so Nia could participate in school activities. He repaired old furniture instead of replacing it and worked extra shifts whenever possible. Yet despite the struggles, he remained known throughout the community for his kindness. He volunteered at neighborhood events, helped elderly neighbors carry groceries, and always found time to encourage people who were having difficult days. One sunny afternoon, Kendrick received an unexpected invitation. The art center had selected him to attend a charity luncheon honoring local community contributors. It was a prestigious event hosted by one of the city's largest philanthropic foundations. Kendrick almost declined because he felt out of place among wealthy donors, but his daughter insisted he go. She spent nearly an hour helping him choose the best outfit he owned. Though the suit was several years old, she smiled proudly and told him he looked important. Her confidence gave him courage. When Kendrick arrived at the luxury hotel hosting the luncheon, he immediately felt overwhelmed. Elegant decorations filled the ballroom. Waiters moved gracefully between tables. Business leaders and influential guests exchanged conversations that sounded far more sophisticated than anything he usually encountered. Trying to find his assigned seat, Kendrick glanced at a seating card but accidentally misread the table number. Nervous and distracted, he sat at a table reserved for special guests. A few attendees exchanged confused looks. Some quietly assumed he had made a mistake. Others wondered why a man dressed so modestly was sitting among executives and foundation board members. Embarrassed when he finally realized the error, Kendrick stood up and prepared to leave. But before he could take a step away, something unexpected happened. A woman seated nearby looked up from her program booklet and smiled. She was Althea Voss, the billionaire founder of the Voss Foundation and one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the region. Her achievements had made headlines for years, yet lately she had become known for her reserved and distant demeanor. Few people knew that after losing several close family members within a short period, she had withdrawn emotionally from much of the world around her. As Kendrick apologized for sitting at the wrong table, Althea noticed something unusual. Despite his embarrassment, he still offered a warm smile to everyone around him. There was no bitterness, no resentment, and no attempt to impress anyone. She quietly invited him to stay until staff could sort out the seating arrangement. Throughout the luncheon, Kendrick listened attentively as speakers discussed community projects and charitable initiatives. While others focused on networking opportunities, he spoke passionately about neighborhood youth programs and the importance of giving children safe places to learn and grow. His sincerity stood out. For the first time in years, Althea found herself genuinely interested in someone's perspective. As conversations continued, Kendrick shared stories about helping children discover confidence through art programs at the community center. He described watching shy students blossom after receiving encouragement from mentors. His words were simple, yet they carried remarkable warmth. Something about his outlook reminded Althea of a happiness she thought she had lost. Near the end of the meal, while guests applauded another presentation, she leaned slightly toward him and whispered something that would remain etched in his memory forever. You made me smile again. The word surprised him. He didn't fully understand their significance, but he could see emotion in her eyes. For Althea, those 5 words carried years of hidden pain. She had spent so much time focusing on responsibilities, business decisions, and personal grief that genuine joy had become rare. Yet listening to Kendrick speak about hope, children, and community had awakened something she thought was gone. After the luncheon ended, most guests returned to their busy schedules. Kendrick assumed he would never see Althea again. A week later, however, he received a phone call. The Voss Foundation wanted to visit the Community Arts Center. Kendrick helped prepare for the visit, expecting a routine inspection. Instead, Althea arrived personally. She spent hours touring the facility, speaking with students, parents, and volunteers. What she witnessed impressed her deeply. The building needed repairs. Equipment was outdated. Funding was limited. Yet despite these obstacles, the center was changing lives because people like Kendrick refused to give up. Over the following months, Althea became increasingly involved. The foundation provided grants for renovations, new educational programs, and expanded opportunities for local families. But the most important transformation wasn't financial. It was personal. Althea gradually reconnected with the community she had once kept at a distance. She attended youth art exhibitions, family events, and volunteer projects. She laughed more often. She listened more carefully. Meanwhile, Kendrick discovered that his voice mattered. For years he had assumed influential people wouldn't care about his ideas. Now he found himself helping shape programs that benefited hundreds of children. The friendship between them surprised many observers. One was a billionaire. The other was a hard-working single father. Yet their connection had nothing to do with wealth or status. It was built on mutual respect, compassion, and shared belief in helping others. The greatest moment came nearly a year later during the grand reopening of the renovated Arts Center. Families filled the building. Children's artwork covered the walls. Music echoed through bright new classrooms. As community members celebrated, Althea stepped onto the stage and spoke about the person who had inspired the transformation. She described a man who had accidentally sat at the wrong table but had ended up in exactly the right place. The audience erupted into applause as Kendrick stood beside his daughter, overwhelmed with gratitude. Nia beamed with pride. For years she had watched her father sacrifice quietly for others. Now the community was finally recognizing the impact he had made. Special request: if this story touched your heart, comment below with, "Kindness opens doors." If this story inspired you or reminded you of the power of kindness, please like, share, and subscribe to Heartwarming Tales so more people can discover stories that bring hope and encouragement. As the afternoon sun streamed through the windows of the newly restored center, Kendrick reflected on how a simple mistake had changed everything. Sitting at the wrong table could have led to embarrassment and rejection. Instead, it created an opportunity for connection, healing, and hope. Althea rediscovered joy. Hundreds of children gained new opportunities. And one single father learned that his kindness had more power than he ever imagined. The lesson is simple but unforgettable: never underestimate the impact of a sincere heart. You never know whose life may be changed by your encouragement, your compassion, or even a simple conversation. Sometimes the doors that open our greatest blessings are the ones we never intended to walk through. And when kindness guides our actions, even the smallest moments can become life-changing miracles that leave the world brighter than we found it.